Pericles and Athens by A.R. Byrne, and I don't quite remember where we stopped, but there is certainly a point involving everyone. Some have suggested a diffused light penetrating through the marble slates of the roof, but those have been found are 1.5 inches thick. First, Phidias was accused of stealing gold entrusted to him for the statue. That at least was soon refuted. The gold plates were detachable, and they were simply taken down and weighed. Parts of the accounts for the statue, which first and last cost over 700 talents, 4,200,000 drachmas, are still extant. But then someone examining the details of the great shield identified Phidias's two little portraits, a Pericles and himself. The cry of impiety, sacrilege, was raised, a matter on which the superstitious assembly was always sensitive. Well, isn't it sacrilege to want to become a saint and other people are going to worship you? Oh wait, the Catholic Church put that there to fill in the blanks. And blanks in alliance of, oh, well, we need to worship these heroes and these so-called gods and goddesses. Anyways, the cry of impiety, sacrilege, was raised, a matter on which the superstitious assembly was always sensitive. Well, can't you do what you want with your own temple project? Phidias was said to have been imprisoned. If so, Pericles got him out, like Anaxagoras before him, and he left Athens, never to return. Plutarch indeed says that he died in prison, but it seems certain that he survived after the dedication of the Parthenos in 438 to work in the Peloponnese on his great Zeus at Olympia. Zeus, Dios Pieter of the Indo-Aryan tribes. The prison in which Phidias died may indeed have been simply a wartime place of internment, for we know that the Athenians, and may infer that others, did arrest enemy nationals when war broke out again in 431. It was a tragic end to the work of Athens, greatest sculptor, but the adornment of the Acropolis was not checked. A brilliant new architect, Mnesicles, was now commissioned to provide the citadel with the worthy entrance portal, and in 437, work on this building, the Propylaea, was already underway. It was an ambitious project. The zigzag carriage way passed on the brow of the rock, through a Doric colonnade, and under a marble coffered ceiling, supported on Ionic columns, a cunning mixture of the two styles, since the Ionic pillars, traditionally taller and more slender than Doric, could reach the ceiling without being made disproportionate to the sturdy Doric columns that one had to reach and support a lintel. This entrance, the portal proper, was to be flanked, it appears, by two symmetrical wings. A square hall on each side of the entrance would give the effect, from without, of a solid and massive buttress supporting the colonnade at either end, while internally the halls would be used as picture galleries. Finally, each wing would be covered by a further colonnade on the side facing the summit. The building is said to have cost over 2,000 talents, the price of 12 million skilled labor days. And that, though, for reasons which will appear, it was never finished, as Mnesicles had intended. Before the Propylaea were finished. Indeed, the shadows were falling upon Pericles and all that he stood for, and yet, even so, the Acropolis as he left it, with the addition of 2 smaller but exquisite temples built by men who remembered him, remains one of the great wonders of the world. Plutarch, after remarking that, as a rule, rapid construction is not conducive to the highest beauty, thus sums up, and this is the more cause to marvel at the buildings of Pericles that were made in so little time to last for so long. For their beauty they seemed venerable as soon as they were built, and in freshness to this day they seem as though newly finished. Such a bloom of newness is there upon them, keeping them to the eye untouched by time, as though these works had in them an evergreen spirit and a soul of unfailing youth. Now, if you'll allow me to close before, I guess, maybe 2 more programs today, we see in places like Mecca and Medina that, particularly with this one, now don't think that the tomb is part of this house of worship, because it's not, at least not the proper house of worship. You see, no matter how modern it gets, no matter what damage happens to it, if parts need to be replaced, if the meteorite, which is really in pieces, if it gets taken away, it stays the same place it ever was in terms of how it's regarded, the acts of worship there, the effect that it has on people. I mean, some people are upset about the old remnants of the buildings being destroyed, and they're doing this not entirely for expansion of the building. Some of it's just to replace the history that people will honor there. But they don't replace the big old obscenity over the grave of the prophet. I don't know why they're doing that. But, you know, when you're building a house of worship, one's got to consider these things. One, that it's not about you. It's like if you look at the content of my channel, I have hundreds of videos that don't show me, that you would think would show me. But it's not about me. It's about the spiritual content, whether it's text or otherwise, that I am putting forth. So that's what's going on there. But the evocativeness, the provocativeness of the place of worship, the lasting message that is coming through, the lasting purposes of the place are far more important than beauty and grandeur of houses of worship. But consider what you want to do with such a place. Legacy is important, but legacy, even without your name, is still, still your legacy.